Hi everyone, just thought I would do a live stream for this evening's Sunday evening listening couch. Just a variety of reasons, really. I won't bore you with them. So I'll do this live now, and it won't take long. And then I'll set it to private, and then later on I'll put it up at 9 p.m. Do it with my t-shirt. Just been sat in the garden. So yeah, I'll keep it short. Just want to run you through some things I've been listening to on the CD couch this week. This one, Elvis Costello, Punch the Clock. I've been listening to this on my my CD Walkman, that's not a word that you hear very often anymore, is it? This one of a long line of CD Walkmans that I've had in my life. I absolutely love it. The sound quality is fantastic, and these devices really take me back in time. I remember having a holiday in Mallorca years ago, probably when I was about 16 or 17, and that would have been my dad's CD Walkman that I was using at the time, and I just loved it. And so, yeah, this album's been in that for the last few days. This is the record that he did with the Madness team. It was Clive Langer and Alan Winstanley. They produced the Madness records. They also did Voice of the Beehive as well. They were kind of well-known pop producers, really. And I think this came from a period when Costello's star had fallen a bit commercially, and he was looking to do something with a more kind of pop edge to it. And critically, I don't think it was particularly well received. Because it's got a more kind of sugary quality to it. You know, Costello had always had that kind of embittered, vinegary kind of quality to his work, whereas this is definitely, it's got a more sugary kind of quality to it. There's brass in it, there's backing vocals, but there's some wonderful stuff on it. I mean, the song Every Time I Write the Book, probably one of my Desert Island discs. Such a wonderful song. I just love the harmonies on it. This album's got shipbuilding on it as well. Side 2 is great. You've got Charm School, The Invisible Man, King of Thieves, The World and His Wife at the end. It's a really, really good album, I think. Like I said, it's not kind of held up as being one of his greatest works or anything, but I've always been quite fond of it. Nothing to show for this one. This is a thing that this is one of my CDRs from back in the day, an album I got from the library. This is Brian Eno, Another Green World, which I found on my shelf. I've been doing some sorting out this week on my shelf, you know, digging things out, doing some tidying, and I totally forgot I had this. And I played it, and I was amazed at how well I knew it. I must have listened to it a lot more than I kind of, you know, realised that I had, because it came on, you know, Sky Soar, Over Fire Island, St Elmo's Fire, all these tracks. I just knew them, and just knew them inside out, back to front. So it's definitely a record that I you know, must have heard a lot, and really enjoyed it. I mean, the track Every Green World itself, Another Green World itself, sorry, that was used on a TV show called Arena back in the 80s, which was a kind of current affairs program, magazine program. It had a very, very memorable title sequence of a kind of a floating bottle on the ocean with a kind of neon sign. And the theme tune for the series was Another Green World, and such a great use of that music. And it's a really interesting record. I think it came out in about 1977, something like that. And it's a mixture of songs and more abstract instrumental stuff. But the instrumentals, they've got that classic Brian Eno thing where it sounds like you're just kind of eavesdropping on this kind of endless process which is just happening, and you're just, you know, you're being given a chance to listen in for a minute to these kind of strange sort of mood pieces, I guess, and then they just drift away again and the next one comes in, you know. I think it was his kind of big crossover. Well, I say big, I don't think Brian Eno ever really had a big record, but I think it was his it was the closest thing that he had to a hit album, I guess, you know. So yeah, must get a proper copy of it, and it'd be nice to get it on vinyl, but they're so expensive. The you know, the Eno reissues that I've seen, for some reason they tend to be very overpriced. So Right, this one was a bit of an interesting listen, and I can't even think what the guy's name is now. Richard Dawson, that's right. Apologies for the bad picture quality. Richard Dawson, this is his album 2020, and this came from, I think it was 2019. So Richard Dawson is a kind of modern day Ray Davis, I would describe him. He's a folk musician, broadly speaking, and he does very very clever, lyrically clever songs, which are kind of stream of consciousness with a lot of social commentary, but he does it with humour and satire. The words on this album are they're just really, really clever. I mean, if you read them off the page, you can't actually imagine how he turns them into songs. You know, there's a verse, there's a song here called, excuse me, Civil Servant, and the verse goes, "I don't want to go into work this morning. I don't think I can deal with the wrath of the general public. I don't have the heart to explain to another poor soul why it is their disability living allowance will be stopping shortly." So, but he turns these songs, they're like little sorts of mini diatribes. He turns them into these very strange stream of consciousness songs. They're quite stripped down, you know, it's guitar, maybe a few other instruments, and very, very clever, quite bleak. Like I said, think of Ray Davis, maybe think of Marquis Smith, but with a more of a sense of humor, I guess. It's warmer than The Fall, definitely, but extremely interesting record. Not the kind of thing that you'd listen to every day. It's his voice is quite provocative, I guess. It's not a particularly commercial voice. He's definitely a niche artist, but if you want something a bit different and you want to hear something quite experimental, you know, on the outer fringes of what you might call pop folk, a little bit electronic in places, then you can't go wrong with this. Richard Dawson, 2020. He's actually made quite a few albums. He's been around for about 10 years, I think. This is the only one of his that I've got. So, yeah, that was nice to hear that again. Oops. And then went back to this one. This has got coffee stains all over it. This is Impressed with Giles Peterson. This came out in 2002. And I loved this when it first came out. Giles Peterson is quite a well-known DJ in the UK. He's a bit of a archive excavator. You know, he's done shows and he's done countless compilation albums. He's very into world music, Brazilian music, but he's also got a great interest in the British jazz of the 1960s. Now, there's quite a lot of these reissues coming out now. You know, stuff by Ian Carr and Don Rendell and Harry Beckett, Graham Collier, you know, all these artists, these kind of maverick British artists from the 1960s who were working in the jazz field, but they were doing a kind of jazz classical kind of hybrid, really, quite strange experimental music, but really, really excellent in its way. Hi, Steve. Hi, A to Z Mick. Nice to hear from you. I'm not going to be on for long. This is only just going to be a quick one, but just talking about this compilation CD, Giles Peterson, and he collected together some tracks from these albums, which, you know, back in 2002, they were not, they were not in circulation. It's only in the last maybe 2 years that they've started coming out again. Dusk Fire by Ian Carr and Don Rendell. And this record, he was one of the first people really to start to excavate some of this stuff, and it's a fantastic CD. It's got the actual track Dusk Fire on it. It's got a brilliant track by the Tubby Hayes Quintet called Down in the Village, which was recorded at Ronnie Scott's live in May 1962. And it is one of the greatest live jazz tracks you'll ever hear. It's got Tubby Hayes on vibraphone, and he just plays this absolutely mind-blowing vibraphone solo, just chorus after chorus after chorus of just really virtuosic, vibe playing. But elsewhere on this, like I said, you've got Dusk Fire. That was the Don Rendell Ian Carr Quintet. And you've got tracks by Joe Harriott as well, who was, I think he was a Jamaican-born tenor sax player who did most of his work in the UK. It's just a really, really interesting compilation. Like I said, I absolutely loved it when it first came out, and since then, a lot of these albums have started to actually, be repackaged and brought out on vinyl. But they're not cheap. They're kind of, they're about £30 each. So I need to finally delve in and start to get some of these things, maybe on CD. I'll just do one more. Like I said, I want to keep this nice and short. If you're still with us, Steve, a bit of Miles Davis. This is Dark Magus, which came out in I think it came out in about 1977, something like that. By God, this album is seriously, how would you describe it? It's 74 Carnegie Hall. It's a live Miles Davis album, and it comes from the heart of that kind of fusion period. It was after Bitches Brew, so it comes from that period when he was doing albums like Agatha. But it's the most full-on, full throttle fusion-y live thing that he ever did. Incredibly dark album. I mean, there's a real, there's a big ensemble on it. You've got two guitars, Peter Cozy and Reggie Lucas on guitar, and this fantastic drummer, Al Foster, who just plays all the way through. Hi, Alan. Just talking about Dark Magus. Alan Foster, he just attacks his drum kit for about an hour and a half, just trashing the hi-hat. It's just like, it's fast and furious. It's incredibly bleak, and the guitars are really kind of dark and squally. And essentially on this record, the musicians themselves, they were kind of totally thrown into this pit of like unknown variables. There was no compositions. There were no chord sequences, there were no melodies, and Miles himself, he kind of keeps a low profile on the album. You get the sense that he's sort of drifting off the stage and just leaving them to it for long periods, where you just get this kind of this driving rhythm and these squally guitars, and then all of a sudden, Miles will pipe up again. There'll be this kind of shronking trumpet playing will just kind of start again, and you're like, all right, Miles is back on stage, and he's playing through a wah-wah pedal. So you're talking about, wah-wah trumpet, and it just goes on and on. It's a double album, and it's definitely not easy listening. I did manage to listen to it as backing music. I was sat on the couch reading, and this music was on. My partner kept putting her head around the door and going like, what on earth are you listening to? It's definitely not something that you pull off the shelf very often, but I'm pleased I've got it. I'd like to get a vinyl version of it, because it's not a particularly great mix. The bass is quite low in the mix. There is a remaster of it now, I think, which has come out, which hoiks the bass up a little bit, so that would be nice to get. So anyway, Dark Magus, with what looks to be toothpaste encrusted on the sleeve. So let's not go there. One more. This, I was listening to this out and about actually on the Sonny Discman, and this is the Alice Cooper original album series. So we've got his first album, Pretties for You, which is very, very Suburban Greek. Hi, how you doing? And Vinyl Scavenger, Martin, how you doing? Suburban Geek, sorry, not Suburban Greek. I was thinking of Stavros then. What was his channel called back in the day? Because he was Greek, wasn't he? Yeah, Alice Cooper. Well, it was Jeff at Calico Silver talking about Alice Cooper. Jeff is a very intelligent, erudite man, and his tastes are quite kind of esoteric. He's into a lot of ECM stuff, and he talked about Alice Cooper, and I was kind of like, no, okay, really, Alice Cooper? Because I didn't know much about him. I had him down as a kind of schlocky, a bit like Kiss, I guess, and I didn't really know much of his stuff apart from maybe the song Poison, which came out in about 1989. Yes, that's right, Alan, Spinning Greek, Stavros. Much missed. So anyway, I thought, right, well, I'll give these albums a go. I did have one of them on vinyl. Which one was it? The School Desk one, School's Out, which I've had on vinyl for many years, and I play that one occasionally, but I don't play them very often. Anyway, I've been getting back into these now, listening to these. So this one, I don't know much about Frank Zappa, but this, I would imagine this is a bit kind of Zappa-esque. It's quite freeform. It's quite chaotic sounding. The sound had yet to fully develop, I guess. And then the sound gradually comes together on these next few albums. Not sure what the order of them is. Easy Action comes next after that. And then you've got Love It to Death, which may be the first one produced by Bob Ezrin. Could be mistaken. And then you've got, how are we doing now? Killer. Okay, Alan, do you have a favourite drum performance, album, or performer? My God, Alan, that's a big question. I will have, yeah. I can't answer that question straight off the top of my head. Leave that one with me. I'll make a note of that and do a video. I did do a video, in fact, maybe 2 years ago. I did a video about my favourite drummers and favourite drum moments. So you might want to check back through that one. But I need to do a sequel. That is something which I'd like to get back to. Can't answer the question at all. It'd be nice to think of something, wouldn't it? I guess John Bonham is always good for a laugh. In fact, I've been listening to a bit of Led Zeppelin. I've been listening to In Through the Outdoor on CD, which is not a particularly good album, but John is still good on that. Leave it with me, Alan. I'll come back to you on that one. I'll come back to you. Anyway, so, Alice Cooper. You can definitely hear when Bob Ezrin comes on the scene. It's a bit like when he worked with Kiss in 1974. I think it was with Destroyer. And I guess he had the ability to to take an artist and construct something around them that somehow projected their identity in a more coherent way. And you can definitely hear that when Ezrin comes on the scene and there's Alice Cooper records. You think to yourself, yeah, there's some sort of arch conceptualizer now has entered the picture, and the sound is a lot more cohesive, and there's more of a through line that runs through it. Good evening, Mark. Nice to hear from you. Vangelis or some rare Turk psych? Martin, what are you talking about? I bought a Vangelis record the other day. I will save it for my next vinyl update. It's a very interesting record, and I enjoyed it a lot. He's an artist. I describe him as a slippery slope artist. In other words, his records are fairly available, not too expensive, and I don't have that much shelf space left, so I tend to avoid buying his records because there are so many of them, and it is just a slippery slope. Sob rock? No, I have not, Mark. Tell me more. Sounds like some sort of emo type thing, and if so, what do I think? No, sorry, I can't answer that one. Sob rock? Don't know. I thought I knew all the subgenres, but it seems I don't. Anyway, I don't want to keep you any longer because, like I said, the main reason I'm doing this is that I'm not actually able to record an installment for this evening. So I thought I'd do it live. So what I'll do now, I'll sign off, and I will set this video to private. And then I'll bring it back out again at 9 p.m. this evening for everybody to enjoy, all my countless viewers. Outright John Mayer. No, I don't know John Mayer, Mark. He's an artist that I need to check out. I've heard tracks here and there by him, but no, he's not somebody that I've yet to delve into. So anyway, thanks for joining me, folks. Sorry it's a bit of a short one, but I've got other things to do of a non-musical nature. So I love you and leave you, and see you all soon. Bye.